Everyone has heard rumors of people getting rid of unwanted items by tossing them into any kind of body of water, whether it be junk that they don't want or perhaps something more valuable instead. There are many rumors and legends that speak of all sorts of things hidden beneath the surface, such as money, treasure, cities, or even aliens. Believe it or not, people just don't know if the myths are true. Some people believe we've explored the whole planet. That's just ignorant. 65% of the planet is covered by deep blue water. This means that 65% of the world is undiscovered underneath. Scientists know a whole lot more about space than about what lies in the oceans. With humans being curious by nature, many people have wanted to debunk or to prove theories surrounding what lies beneath the surface of our oceans. A scientific expedition to explore Lake Ontario in Canada was launched in August 2017. According to popular rumors, there's a lot of history at the bottom of the lake. The team hopes to find something special. They codenamed the expedition Raise the Arrow. The team was working for a salvage company called OEX Recovery Group, Inc. Their expertise lies in recovering salvage that's in distress. They work together with financial and mining companies in Canada to help them find the salvage. The company heard rumors of mysterious treasure sitting on the floor of the lake. This made them keen to get started. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Raise the Arrow was created for a singular purpose: to take the tales of valuable, remarkable treasure and act on them, recovering the high-value items as soon as they can. OEX stated that the find would surprise the world and would definitely fund the project going forward. The surface surrounding the boat was still and quiet. Nothing was stirring the water. The team looked at the water together, trying to see into its depths. They couldn't see anything, but that didn't dishearten them in their hunt. They all imagined what things could lie deep down in the lake. The team had to keep their mouths shut. Since the rumors alluded to valuable treasure, they couldn't risk anyone else finding out about what they had their eyes set on. There were reports of people seeing something in the water that disappeared as soon as they had laid eyes on it. The people who reported them were from a long time ago, though, back in 1950. 60 years had passed since these reports had been made. One question still hung in their minds. What was it that all those people had seen? The only relevant information about the reports was that the people had only seen the object for a brief moment and that there wasn't any time to figure out what they had seen. But there was one thing in common. The witnesses could never shake the experience from their mind. For many years, the story would be told and wondered about, until today, when the expedition decided to go into the water. Finally, there was a chance for answers. The team of Raise the Arrow was hoping to answer the question once and for all. The locals eagerly shared the stories with the team. The various witnesses happily pointed out where it happened. This gave the team a starting point at least. With all their gear ready, the team started to prepare for the adventure. The area pointed out was called Point Petri, located on the northeastern shores of Lake Ontario. This little peninsula is in Ontario's Prince Edward County. There are no nearby urban areas as it is a protected wildlife conservation area. Lake Ontario has been at the center of many rumors. In 2013, it was rumored that an alien species had created a base under the water of the lake. Many people found the idea of aliens at the bottom of the lake exciting. Despite the fact that it is unlikely, Lake Ontario is one of the 5 Great Lakes of North America, with shores in both Canada and the U.S. Its name means Lake of Shining Waters in the Huron language. It's the smallest of the Great Lakes, although still the 13th largest lake in the world. The task before the team was of biblical proportions. But they had help. Meet the Thunderfish. This cute little craft is an automatic underwater vehicle, a mini-submarine. It's pretty much a drone that swims instead of flies. The team remained on dry land whilst piloting it around the designated area of the lake bed, and the Thunderfish delivered. It sent wonderful images back to its gloating masters. What was it appearing on the screens before them? As if they were squinting just right at a 3D picture, suddenly the shapes fell into place for the team. It was an aircraft, but it wasn't just any old aircraft. This one was special. How special, I hear you ask? Well, let's do a bit of time traveling and see if we can spot the aircraft new and shiny and not yet wet. Let's peer in the windows of a hangar somewhere in Canada owned by the government in 1946. The Second World War had just ended, but tensions between the Eastern and Western blocs were high. Each side was looking for an edge over the other. The Canadian government was pinning its hopes on a new jet fighter with serious destructive capabilities. The Cold War was beginning. Both sides were eager to gain a military advantage over the other in the event of a large-scale battle. The war ended in 1991 without such an encounter ever happening, thus earning its title, the Cold War. For over 40 years, the threat of invasion hung over the world. On one side, the Western Bloc, generally Democratic, headed by the U.S. On the other, the Eastern Bloc, Communist, headed by the USSR. The emerging Third World countries tried desperately to stay neutral. Both East and West possessed the power to annihilate vast areas of land with one atomic bomb. No one really wanted this to happen, and it was the threat from both sides that kept the other from attacking. Nevertheless, the only way to feel safe is to have superior firepower. The Soviets started building aircraft that could carry their weapons over the Arctic to the US and Canada. Canada saw the Soviet activity and raised it one Canadian company, Avro Canada Limited. Now known as Avro Canada, these were the engineers assigned to creating aircraft that could beat back the Russian threat. And they delivered. In 1953, the Avro CF-100 Canuck was born. It was christened the Clunk, and it remained on active service in the Canadian military until the 1980s. In 1952, as they were developing Old Clunk, the Royal Canadian Air Force received new intelligence. The Russians were upping the stakes once more. They were developing another aircraft. It was rumored to be a high-tech, high-speed, high-destruction animal that could wipe out the Canadian nation. But it would take the Soviets 7 years to perfect it. Canada had time. She put it to good use. In 1953, the Clunk set out on her launch flight. Whilst people of note were saluting her, shadowy heads were already down, studying blueprints for her successor. The RCAF had already formulated a report in 1952 detailing how they could improve the Canuck. It was called RCAF's Final Report of the All-Weather Interceptor Requirements Team. All-Weather Interceptor didn't exactly roll off the tongue, though, so Avro Canada called it the Avro Arrow. She was everything that the name invoked. The Avro Canada CF-105 Arrow was a supersonic interceptor. With its delta wings, it looked like a spearhead, and it flew as one, true and deadly. The main specification improvements were in strength and speed. This baby could reach heights above 50,000 feet, ca 15 kilometers. She could fly at Mach 2 speeds. Mach 2 sounds pretty impressive, and when you think that it's equal to 1,500 miles per hour, ca 2,414 km/h, you can see why. Now, back in the day, there were no computer simulation models to test theories with. No, engineers in those days had to make model prototypes. Before testing with these prototypes, it was impossible to know whether the theories would hold together in the air. Between 1953 and 1957, 9 prototypes of the Avro Arrow were constructed. They were perfect imitations of the hoped-for real thing, except that they were made to a smaller scale. The Arrow was named for its distinctive delta wing design. Today, of course, we have seen delta wings on many aircraft, large and small, but back then, it was an innovative new concept, and it did a special job. The 9 Avro Arrow prototypes were each around 10 feet, ca 3m long. Their wingspan was around 6.5 feet, ca 2m. They weren't quite carbon copies of their big sister, though. These mini-arrows ran on solid fuel. They were mounted on rocket boosters in order to reach the speed needed to test the wings for drag and stability issues. Then they were launched from Point Petri, Lake Ontario. These cute little aircraft turned out to really pack a punch. They reached Mach 1.7 before the glassy waters of Lake claimed their prize. Surprisingly, little needed to be tweaked based on the prototype's flight data. The wings were drooped and given a camber. A dog tooth was introduced. The newly published area rule principle was applied, leading to changes such as a sharper nose and the addition of a tail cone. The Avro Canada CF-105 Arrow was rolled out in October 1957. The plane bore the mark RL-201. It was to be a grand occasion, marking a turnaround in Canadian defenses. 13,000 guests were invited to the prestigious occasion, but the Soviet Union, not to be outdone, defeated the Arrow before it even got off the ground. They launched Sputnik, the world's first artificial Earth satellite. This was far more exciting than a mere plane. The Arrow was a well-designed aircraft, innovative and daring. It pushed the boundaries of flight as we then knew it. But it was in the wrong place at the wrong time. With one move, the USSR had changed the Western world's priorities. Political change heralded the demise of the Arrow. The government changed hands, and new treaties were signed with the U.S. Most importantly, the arrival of Sputnik on the scene meant that there was now a threat from even higher up. The country could not afford defensive systems against both manned bombers and possible ballistic attacks from space. Canada had to make a choice. The Arrows went down fighting, with various government and military officials reluctant to cancel the scheme. But in the end, ballistic missiles were deemed to be the greater threat. Canada installed the Beaumark system and the Arrow program was canceled in 1959. The cancellation of the program resulted in nearly 50,000 people losing their jobs. All planes, parts, and data were destroyed. The Canadian Mounted Police suspected a Soviet mole in AV, ROW Canada, and insisted on eliminating all evidence except for 9 prototypes launched into Lake Ontario. Kraken Sonar's submarine drone, Thunderfish, was the key to finding them. It captured the first images of the prototypes resting beneath the lake. In the 1950s, there was no computer modeling, noted Carl Kenny from Kraken Sonar. Designers had to use physical models and refine them through real testing. The 9th model was considered perfected. John Brzezinski, president and CEO of Osisko Mining, another project partner, was passionate about recovering these lost aircraft. "We started this to bring back a piece of Canadian history," he explained. Point Petri, the original launch site, was selected as the starting point. Jack Hurst, who had witnessed the original launches over 60 years ago, helped pinpoint the search zone based on his memories. The team was optimistic. "We're starting with high-probability areas," Brzezinski told CBC, and within 12 days, they had results. "Well, we found one," he announced in July. However, the prototypes would remain submerged a few more months. The public wouldn't see them until 2018. The rediscovery was a triumph. Using cutting-edge Canadian sonar and underwater vehicles to find and recover advanced Canadian technology from the past is a powerful statement, said Shea. Despite the success, the search was not complete. Only 8 prototypes were located. The 9th most advanced and closest to the finished Arrow remained missing. Still, finding the first 8 was a milestone. These aircraft symbolized Canadian innovation. Only 6 full-size Arrows were ever built, and all were destroyed. The Delta Wing was a relatively new concept back then, so extensive testing was needed to ensure performance at supersonic speeds, explained Aaron Gregory from the Canada Aviation Space Museum. After a year of effort, the team finally made history. "We are pleased to announce that the first historic relic of the Avro Arrow free flight program has been recovered," their Facebook page declared. It was delivered back to land at CFB Trenton on August 13, 2018, after resting on the bed of Lake Ontario for over 64 years. Osisko Mining, Kraken Sonar, OEX Recovery Group Incorporated, and the Canadian public are still hoping to find the last prototype. Brzezinski, Shea, Kenny, and Co. are sure that they can do it. The 9th plane is still eluding capture, but the team is dogged in their determination to bring it to light. The Raise the Arrow project is due to continue until it can be found.